I surrender to the Almighty, my mind, speech and body. Vanakkam, we are reading this book called Thirukkural, written by Thiruvalluvar. This is one of the most important books given to us by our Tamil ancestors, and it tells us how humans can reach higher states of existence called as Padam and ultimately Mukti or Veedu by making a sincere effort in living our married lives in accordance to certain principles. Just as how there is some order in the smooth functioning of the universe, the author Thiruvalluvar says that humans too can conduct their lives smoothly if we learn to operate with certain principles in our married life. And these principles are called as Aram. The Aram as it applies to the married life is called as Il Aram. Valluvar says that when we learn to live in this manner, we would learn to expand our love and care towards our partner, then our children, friends, relatives, and eventually to all forms of life. And this is the way to reach our destination called as Mukti or Veedu. So where are we in this book now? We are following the commentaries given by Parimil Alagar, and this book is divided into three big sections called as Paals, and we are at the first Paal called as the Arathu Paal. In Arathu Paal, the first viyal is called as Payira, and we finish the first chapter in Payira called as Kadavul Vaalthu. It talked about God and the different ways to reach Him using our mind, speech and body. And then we enter the second chapter called as Vaan Sirappu, which talks about rain, which is one of the expressions of God's kindness in this world. The first Kural told us that rain is the elixir of life on the planet Earth because as long as it rains, life can never be destroyed. Today we will see the next three Kurals which tell us how the rain is consumed by the living beings on this planet and what would happen if it were to stop raining forever. Can life still adapt to such a condition? And what about the sea water? Can the sea water be a suitable alternative? We will see them now. The 12th Kural goes like this. Thupparku Thuppaya thuppagi, Thupparku thupaya thuum mazhai. This Kural is a play on the word Thuppu and it can make an easy tongue twister. Thuppu means food. In this Kural, the word Thuppu comes one after the other and it carries the same meaning, that is food. By the way, this kind of usage where a word is repeated many times in a sentence with the same meaning is called as Sol Porul Pin Varum Nilai Ani. That is just some Tamil trivia. But it is a clever style of writing and it makes an interesting sound when you read it, isn't it? Thupparku Thuppaya thuppagi, Thupparku thupaya thuum mazhai. It's like singing a song and so it's easy to remember. So what is the meaning of this Kural? It's very easy. This Kural says that rain is consumed by living beings in two ways. First, rain helps to create the food that we consume and rain becomes the food itself when it is consumed as water. And this is how rain is consumed by the life on the planet. You see, in the previous Kural, Valluvar told us that rain is the ambrosia or the amridam or the elixir of life for the earth, isn't it? He told us that without rain, life will be destroyed. And here in this Kural, he is telling us how the rain is consumed by life. We eat food and drink water. These are the basic things that we need to survive, isn't it? And rain is essential for both. That is to grow our food and it also becomes a food itself when we drink it as water. If we don't have rain, then we cannot grow our food and we won't have any drinking water. And without food and water, eventually we will just die. So that is why rain is considered as the Amrita for life. Now a question will arise. The earth is surrounded by the ocean, right? And the ocean has plenty of water. What is the necessity to have rain? The sea water accounts for nearly 70% of the water content of the world. So even if we exhaust all the groundwater, snow, glaciers and everything, we will still have plenty of sea water, right? What is the big deal about the rain being the Amrita and all that? Because at the end of the day, rain is nothing but water. A dozen of desalination plants should easily replace the rain, isn't it? Well, Valluvar says in the next Kural that no matter how much water the ocean has, without rain the life cannot continue. The plants cannot be grown and people will die of hunger, he says. The Kural 13 goes like this. Vin-nindru poippin virineer viyanulagathu ul-nindru udatrum pasi. The meaning of this Kural is, if it stops raining, the entire expanse of the world that is surrounded by an even larger volume of sea water will suffer from hunger. He says, don't think that we have a huge ocean, therefore we can just forget about the rain and we will figure out some other alternative. No. Even in the presence of the ocean, the process of rain is still very much necessary for the flow of life. While we may want to think that life will somehow learn to adapt to the harsh conditions, Valluvar says that that is not possible. Without rain, life cannot thrive. The next Kural, that is the Kural 14, goes like this. Aerin uzhaar uzhavar puyal ennum Vaari valangundrik kaan. It means that if the rain were to permanently stop falling from the skies, then the farmers cannot plow the land and they will stop all the farming activities. So then, without rain, we cannot harvest any crops or grow any plants. We will lose the oxygen and life cannot find a way to survive. So that is why Valluvar says that rain is considered as the elixir of life and the sea water cannot be an alternative for rain. I suppose without rain, the salt content of the sea water will continue to increase and the sea creatures will be destroyed, followed by the rest of the creation. No matter how many desalination plants we may create, it cannot be a substitute for the natural process of rain. So in these 4 Kurals, Valluvar is telling us the importance of rain. Why is rain important? It is crucial to sustain life and we really have no other substitute for rain. Rain is an important aspect for life to thrive, and that is why Valluvar is bowing down to rain right after paying respects to God. These are very short Kurals, but they carry very important information. And in the next Kural, we have some more deeper information and we will start them in the next session. I shall end here. Thank you all for listening. Nandri, Vanakkam.